This week on the show, Hutchi and I go through the Caulfield meeting. There's a bit in this you're going to have to review with a lot of tender care because the way this wind was, it's just absolutely savage the overall time. So touch and feel the way you do that. In terms of Hen House, Dog House, not a lot went in, but definitely that last race, race 10, Niance wins the race, but she's bulletproof, and Miss Rumbini goes into the Fox's Den with plenty of others. Most horses go into the Fox's Den that we've ever done. Let's open up Pandora's Fox. Hello and welcome to Pandora's Fox. My name is Julian Valence, joined as always by Racing.com analyst Claire Hutchison. New setup here, Hutch, so I sort of can't really see you there, mate. But how you going? You got through the weekend okay?
The more of this that can cover my face, the better. Yeah, it was a long weekend. There was plenty going on. We got good racing all around Australia, and then we had the Tyson fight.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was great, wasn't it?
A good bit of cash there, wasn't there?
What a waste of time outside of that. No, it was good. It was profitable, which was nice.
Yeah, that's a good result. That's what we like. Let's get straight into the track intel here. Rightio, Caulfield we're looking at. Out 6 metres the entire circuit. Hutch, good four. Kept good four all throughout. Now, here's the intel bit, because the wind really played savage with how people are going to have to review this. So it's a lot of touch and feel how to do it, because just coming up, I think there was only one race that I got inside standard, and I think that was the country final. So no doubt, up to 40-kilometre northerly wind, which we know is the headwind into the chute at Caulfield. It's just savaged all those 1,000 to 1,200 metre races, obviously, in the chute, in terms of nothing close to being inside standard. And then possibly, circle if you wanted to really be nitpicking. I think the jockeys wanted to avoid lanes 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And they probably obviously wanted to try and find some cover. And obviously with the shoot as well, Niance in the last is the only horse to be able to lead and win. But we'll get to her a little bit later because she's a fair animal, is she. But that's how I think the track's set to play.
I'd agree, and just probably later in the day, maybe those wider lanes, like you said,
Yes.
1 and 2 wasn't premium at any stage, I don't think. But I think that might have also been a little bit of a function of, just those horses in the right spot with the wind, probably in the running. So I don't mind it when Caulfield plays like that, though.
Yeah, well, they sort of, theoretically, they get to create their own destiny. Even if you are a leader, you can push out it and things like that. But obviously leading into the chute was an issue. So maybe if you want to be a little bit forgiving of those horses that were outside lead, or if you were 3 wide posted at any stage in the shoot races, be forgiving of those. But also, this is a day as well, Hutch. We probably spoke about this also on Champions Days. A lot of these horses probably come to the end of the prep, so you've got to be careful now. Are they going for one too many? You probably want the upside progressive horses. So when we get to In the Fox's Den, that's probably what we're looking at, is just some horses that may have some upside, maybe only first or second up in the prep. That was the track intel for Caulfield. All right, let's get to the Hen House, Hutch. So these are the races that have sort of identified that we think we can follow with a bit of confidence. As we say, this is a very tricky day to try and review and go, this race has gone enormous. Nothing's going to bust off the page at all, just because they haven't been able to go inside standard. So going to have to be creative in how you do it. I looked at race 3 and I thought, this one's gone okay. Regal Vow wins the race. Now, they're 3/4 of a second outside standard time, but I love the last 400, 200, 11.82 last 200, pretty good compared to the rest of the day. What I liked about this race was Regal Vow was only second up. The horse that was second was only first up. 4th horse was only second up, and the 5th horse was only second up as well. So a lot of these races on Saturday, they were 5th, 6th up, a lot of horses deep into the prep. This race, I think we can identify horses can keep going throughout summer.
Yeah, just because of the stage of the preparation, like you said, and I think Regal Vow's quite an exciting horse, isn't he? Sat back, had the best run, it has to be said, but he's still got to be good enough to quicken up and win. So I think, I tend to agree with that race. I think it looks like a nice race going forward. It's hard with the wind because it's not constant or consistent all day. It can vary a little bit.
Yep.
So that's the other little question mark, but no, I'll be happy to stick with the race.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and Regal Vow really well back too. So I think that's a horse we can obviously follow with a bit of confidence. That camp, Littlefield camp, is going really well at the moment. The other race that we're going to put into Hen House is the last race. Niance, as we spoke about, leads, the only leader to be able to kick on and win. Now, again, overall time, 3/4 of a second outside standard time. Last 400, 200, best of the day, which we love overall. she put the writing on the wall. Well, she probably put the writing on the wall last prep, but first up, she was outstanding at Caulfield, beating Isthmus and a few other horses as well. And then again on Saturday, they decided to lead and decided to take on the wind. Yes, they went slow, but she was there to be beaten at the 200 metres by She's Bulletproof, who's also another really nice horse. She fought on. I think when she sort of felt that horse, she went again. She's a Group 1 horse, I think.
Yeah, and she showed that, like you said, the start before. I looked again at that number and thought I should have marked her shorter.
Yeah.
She, but then on the day, what do? That's the tricky part for a lot of punters, because it was interesting listening to what Graham Begg said post-race. He goes, I don't want to take away what she's got. We get beat. We're going to ride her what suits her. And I'm glad they did. She was really good. She's better than what the margin was. I mean, only
100%.
Only led her to win into that breeze. I mean, most of them were puncturing at the 200. She kept finding. She's exciting.
Yeah.
Look, the sprinting ranks are up for grabs. We've said at a time, and she's right on the heels of some of the better ones going around. In particular, on that win 2 back, which has worked out exceptionally well in terms of the rest of the format of that race. Yeah,
it's interesting to see what the camp do with her now, 'cause she's in a tricky spot. So we're sort of now in late November, and if you look at it and you go to the calendar and you go, well, maybe she's an Oakley Plate horse. Well, you can't keep her up all that way. You've more or less got to go, we're going to have to go let up, get her into the paddock, and then we're going to come back, obviously, the Oakley Plate sort of late February. So it's going to be interesting to see what the camp does. But I think they can aim up for a race like that. I think she's good enough. She'd be on the minimum. She'd be very competitive in a race like that.
She's the one to beat, I reckon, in a race like that, on the minimum, on speed, that time of year.
That track, 1,100 metres, just sets up.
She gets around there, beautiful, and she might get. Imagine if she gets a pattern on side, not against her.
Yeah,
so.
Which sometimes can be at Caulfield. You get a Southerly or something like that. Like, I don't know.
She's a lot bit better than a couple of the other ones that have sort of aimed at that race. Anyway, I think she's better than just the Group 1 handicap too. Like, I reckon she won't not.
Oh yeah. No, it's a very good point. She can go right at the top, no doubt, with her. And I think second horse, She's Bulletproof. She put again a massive number at Moonee Valley, sort of the start prior. They place her correctly. She's right in the game. And even the third horse, she's the sneaky one. I think that I'll put in the Fox's Den later. I won't take her name out yet, but she's a horse we can follow when she gets to 1,400 metres next start. She is going to be one hell of a bet. That's the Hen House. All right, Doghouse here. Look, it was a tricky day overall to be able to identify one that, we sort of want to try and avoid and the market might avoid. So the first race was a horse won by Rukaka Raider.
Well done by the way.
So and this is probably another point too, punters, is you get a result with the horse. It doesn't mean you continue to stay with the horse. You don't put the poster on the wall and say, well done us. You just go, okay, well, what about next start? We thought it was really well placed on Saturday. You got the job for us. It was really well backed, $8.50 to about $6. So that's great. But now we review the race. We take that aside and then we go, look, I don't know if there's much guts to this race at all. As I said, 1.25 outside standard, 12.23 last 200. I just think this horse had the perfect conditions on Saturday. I think the second horse has been around the mark but hasn't been able to win, and I speak of High Young Proud. And I just think the rest behind it I'm concerned about. Look, the winner might have some upside, and so I might have egg on my face, but I think I'm happy now to be around these horses, and I think the market will gravitate towards a different form line going.
So you're saying lose the emotion?
Correct. Yeah, if you can. Yeah, if you can.
Lose the emotion. Don't get too attached. Sounds like your love life, Jules.
Yeah, that ain't good. So yes. That's what I think we do with that race. I think that's what we do there, punters. So that's the Doghouse this week.
Do you like that one?
Yeah, it's very good. Hits and misses here, Hutch. So points bet markets. Let's have a look at what the horses were backed and if they delivered or not. Race 1, Ruakaka Raider, $12 early price put into, ends up $7 the points bet price. They hit. As we've spoken about, it's gone into the Doghouse. Look, it has some upside and progression, but I just think the way this race is rated, I wouldn't be surprised if they were around it, but could be winner only.
Yeah, and had the right run. I think it depends where they sort of aim at.
Correct.
But and price related, but I tend to agree with your point there.
Race 3, a horse called the Shaper, $12 into $5.50. It misses. It was unplaced. It's a horse that was out the back and was really, to be honest, really poor. It seemed to have the back of the horse that I think ends up winning the race or getting very close. I'd be against this horse.
I was surprised. Were you surprised that there was money around for the Shaper? I mean, it might have been a map thing. When
I think possibly it had to be map related. I couldn't find it at all. So I was surprised. It's a really good point you make. So I think what we're sort of suggesting here, punters, is I think we can let if the people want to back that, we won't be.
Yeah, sometimes you've got to really respect SP going forward.
100%.
But I think in days like this, where they were a few that were going to face the breezer out the gate, and then others are really well, got to temper that somewhat going forward.
It's a really good point there, Hutch. Race 4, this horse was really well supported and just got the gun spot. Great ride. We talk of Pisces, $5.50 into $3.20, a big hit. Very impressive. Again, like this is not going to jump off the page in terms of a number, but I think this is a horse that might just continue to progress, and in the autumn might run into some pretty hot races, I reckon.
Gee whiz, I mean, Coleman stayed strong enough. I was really surprised that it held its sort of price pretty much out a little bit late.
Yeah, it did. It sort of drifted at the death, and then the support, obviously, because the horse. But this one, just on Coleman, I know he led, but he's got beaten the field.
Oh no, he was. It was a strange. The whole setup.
The whole thing was strange. Actually,
very
strange. I think it ended up in the Supreme Court.
But
or something.
This for me was one of the wins of the day. I thought Pisces. I thought it was a good performance. Money on. He won very, very comfortably.
Yeah, so I think just really well placed. Like decided, okay, we're probably not going to be good enough to run in a Kumar. I think he was only second up here or third up. So they've decided to play. This race is worth 500,000. So well done then to the Godolphin camp to be able to identify this race with this horse. Yes, it had the right conditions, but was very soft on the line. So in the autumn, he might be one that continues to improve. Pisces race 5, same camp again. $4.60 into $3.70. I speak of Kin. Very hard horse to catch. There's no doubt in that. But I think what we can work out is 1,100 metres Caulfield is where this horse runs its peak performance.
And face the breeze the whole way.
Yeah,
it defied an ordinary run in transit. Yep. So I'm not sure about that particular race as a.
Overall it could be concerning. But and this horse seems to carry pointing end all the time because it's got some big numbers at Caulfield, and then goes away from Caulfield and seems to struggle. But maybe if, again, next prep or the prep after we get to 1,100 metres Caulfield and it seems to have the right gate, it's probably where the market's going to be on for that horse. Race 9, market savagely wanted this horse. It's called Another Will. $4 into $2.60. They just miss. Well, did everything right, but win at the post, really, didn't he?
Every possible.
Yes.
Very good. Had the right run on the day.
Yeah.
There were no excuses. He'll get one of those races one day. And I suppose the positive aspect for him, and I know JJ and yourself spoke about it last week, off a stronger speed. He seems like he actually did.
He's ticked the box now, hasn't he?
So now you can sort of trust the overall body of work he's put together.
Yep, that's a really good point. Last race, they backed 2 horses. Niance, $3 into $2.65. She hits. She's outstanding, and she's bulletproof. $6.50 into $4 as well. Look, it's a miss, but I think if they back the each way quote, they'd be pretty happy. She's ran really well second as well, and she's a horse that, look, they're going to go 2 separate ways here. Niance is going to go probably right to the top, and she understandably deserves to. She's bulletproof, might be rated 75 or something like that. She can just still knock around in a benchmark 84.
Yeah,
she'll do some damage there.
Like you said, it's a good race to follow.
Yeah, 100%. So there's the hits and misses this week. Okay, in the Fox's Den, there's a bit here, Hutch. So for the punters out there, we've got a few. Just from Saturday from me at Caulfield, there's a horse called Tiffany Valentine. We were with this horse. It was second up. Look, tactically not much wrong done by the jock, but third up, if we can get a senior jockey on, back the absolute bejesus out of this horse, Tiffany Valentine. I think she's going really well. Port Albert's a horse that just sat outside lead. I thought he was pretty good. He stuck on. Yeah. It was a race that he could have just folded up. I thought he was really good. There's a race in Port Albert, I reckon.
No, I thought he faced the breeze really well. Just quickly on Tiffany Valentine, what did you really like about that run?
Oh, I think when we watch the video of this race, people will say this horse had absolutely every chance. And to the video you do, but I just think it needs a senior jockey on to get over its neck a little bit and just give it a couple of reminders around the backside and just say, hey, here you can go. Okay. And I think we'll actually see some acceleration out of her. She's only second up. We'll get her third up again. And I reckon the market might have just thought, okay, yep, she was disappointing there because to the eye, you could say she had every chance. But I reckon we get a senior jockey on, give her one around the backside, and I reckon she'll absolutely fly for us. So that's just my opinion. We'll see what happens with Tiffany Valentine, but don't drop off her. Tuvalu, didn't know if I was going to put this in, but I decided to put this in. So off 199 days, look, it was pretty easy. It was pretty easy to see. He was always going to be ridden negatively. I thought he was outstanding, probably half a run short, probably goes to the Kefin Heffernan in 2 weeks' time. He draws well. He'll be back bang on speed. He'll be hard to beat. I think he's come back. I'd say Lindsay Smith's got this horse just about as good as what he has when he was progressing up and he ended up winning a Toorak. There's sort of been a couple of preps where he might not have had him at his best, and I know he won a Wangoom first up as well in May, but this horse, I think Lindsay Smith might have him absolutely humming to his best, Tuvalu. And in the last race, we spoke about it when we spoke about the Hen House, horse called Miss Rumbini Hutch.
Yeah, that was a great run.
Really good.
I mean, she was facing the breeze back on the inside, so she actually had no cover on the fence.
Yeah, I know, yeah. It's exactly what you want, isn't it?
It's an incredible run. Probably worst part of the track, face the breeze. She's good. That was a terrific run in defeat. I'm with you there. That was one of the best runs of the whole day.
Yeah, so she's a ripper, and again, she might stick at 1,200, but I wouldn't be surprised if the camp go to 1,400 metres. There's a race somewhere in her for it. We got to be involved in her. Was there anything else from Moonee Valley Friday night, or anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, there was one that won quite nicely for Michael Hickmont called Cash. But
first starter.
Yeah, first starter. I mean, just did most things right, but it just looks as though it's probably more of a big track type horse.
Yep.
First start, there was reasonable sort of horses in that.
There was. So the second horse, Loose Lips Sink Ships.
Say that very slowly.
Yes, absolutely. It was well supported along with Cash. It's a nice horse, Loose Lips Sink Ships. So the fact that Cash got off its back and actually was pretty soft on the line, I think that's a really positive sign.
Yeah, and the runner-up, Loose Lips Sink Ships. You can back in a mate. It'll be short wherever it goes.
It will be, but it'll be winning.
It'll be winning.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of others off Broadway here, punters, that might be running very shortly within a week. Oshie's Trouble and Al Fortress come out of a maiden at a Chuka. Oshie's Trouble won the race, so it'll go to a higher grade, but Al Fortress, wherever it goes in a maiden, I think we can bet with confidence with that horse. Royal Insignia and our Brayshaw, they finished 1-2 at a Kyneton maiden. Royal Insignia is a really, really nice progressive horse. Be with it. Flickgrove won a Benalla maiden. I think we can follow it. And Rubiquity won a Warrnambool maiden. Follow it wherever it goes. Love to see it in Moonee Valley or something. We might get a price. The second horse, It's a Yes, will be winning its maiden, I would have thought, next start as well.
Yeah, talking of those maidens, not that Fickle came out of a maiden, but it was probably the standout run on the Friday nights, doing a bit of the Valley stuff for racing.com. And she was exceptional.
So fast, wasn't it? From that gate, you could have saw, is it going to be able to get to the front? Craig Williams was really aggressive on the horse, got to the front. It's absolutely demolished them, hasn't it?
And Tom Dabney, generally, he'll just go through the grades. So you'll probably see Fickle back there. It's another one to stick with. Yep,
absolutely. So there's the Fox's Den. In the Fox's Den, there's a bit in it, but I think it can be profitable for us, punters. All right, Hutch. So there was two Group 1s. We didn't sort of identify them in the Hen House or the Dog House, but we're just going to get these two races and I'll just get your thoughts on them. The 1,000 Guineas, another profit wins a race at a big price. But I want to talk to you about the second horse because Aliana, just sort of, for me, and you'll be able to have your own thoughts on this, I think anytime we want to back this horse, my thoughts are it's got to be on a big track.
Yeah, I tend to agree, or not Caulfield anyway. I don't know. I mean, she just couldn't accelerate and was very flat-footed at a key stage, and we do see it with this kind of horse. I mean, she was great at Flemington. She had plenty of time to build, and she launched. I mean, to get as close as she did late in that race in the 1,000 Guineas was exceptional. But at that key stage of the race when Matisse came from behind her and then sort of half put her back in a pocket, I mean, she had the position, but she just couldn't take it. Yeah. And you see a lot of horses at Caulfield do that, really, to be honest with you. They don't all handle it well. I know that many people say that's not true, but I do believe
No, well, there's no doubt that she didn't handle Caulfield. I think anyone that says, she was a victim of circumstances, she got blocked, it wasn't about that. She just couldn't get into her action as quickly or as what you want. Compare it to Flemington, which is a big track and allows you some momentum.
Yeah, she couldn't get balanced and quicken into that spot. And you can see how far she finished late. She had it there, but she wasn't balanced at that key stage of the race. And that's why Matisse could come around her and put her where she did. But she's a talent, though, isn't she? Yeah. I mean, I thought that Carbine Club form might stack up. Yep. And that 1,000 Guineas, it sits in a funny place at the moment.
Yeah, and that's an interesting one as well. You raise it's like it seems to take away also from the Oaks as well. Yeah. You look back on the Oaks winners in the past: Miss Finland, Samantha Miss, our Yankee Rose ran in it, didn't win it, but just these really high quality 1,000 Guineas fillies then get the progression to the Oaks. Now, early in the prep, you have to make a decision. Am I a staying filly or have I got the sharpness to run in the 1,600 metres, 1,000 Guineas? Now, I know they're both different clubs, so they're probably not going to play in each other's pocket to hand. But I think I would love the 1,000 Guineas to go back to where it was.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, I'm more of a traditionalist anyway in that sense. I like the fact that they've tried something, to it seems like there's a bit of clean air after Cup Week.
Yeah.
So I get it, but it doesn't. I'm not sure this is the answer either. I'm not sure. I just feel like the Thousand Guineas should be one of those lead up to the Oaks, and then some will stick around, some won't. But that's part of the game, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think you would have got Lady Shenandoah, the flight winner, I think, if it was back in the original spot, and she would have had some real spice.
You can't tell me it was as strong. It's as strong as an addition at this stage.
No, I 100% with you.
As it would have been earlier.
I'd absolutely agree. I think from just quickly, if you're looking for a race in the autumn where you think Aliana goes, because there's going to be plenty of options up in Sydney, where she probably obviously could end up back in with the fillies, but I'd love to see her in the Australian Guineas against the boys on the big track, Flemington. 1,600 metres. I think we might get a price about her or something in a race like that against the boys, who we saw from a Caulfield Guineas perspective, they haven't really stacked up either. So
she handled Feroce. I mean, there was a pattern that day as well, wasn't there? But she gave Feroce windburn that day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Running second in the Caulfield
absolutely.
Guineas.
So
I mean, Broadsiding's an interesting one because he's obviously probably going to go somewhere like that.
Yeah, well, and then I read an article recently. They said, "Oh no, we're going to keep him to the Sydney way of going. We think he's much better that way of going." So who knows? But that's where I'd want to see Aliana, and from a betting perspective, is in the Australian Guineas at Flemington in the autumn. The Rupert Clarke Stakes was the other Group 1 on the day, Hutch. There's a bit in this. Like, obviously, they've run at a pretty good clip. Another Will was heavily supported. I listened to a few clips on Mike Tyson. He was talking about some interesting things, how you get luck and not luck. And he was saying that, he sort of had relations with a girl that had AIDS. And he had it at the same time that his mate, and they both died of AIDS, but he didn't get AIDS, so he got lucky there. I think Jimmy Starr didn't get much luck on Saturday. I mean, he didn't get AIDS, but he just didn't seem to get in the right spot, did he, Jimmy?
This has taken a very interesting turn.
You can always bring it back to Tyson and AIDS, can't you, racing?
Yeah. Okay. Well, no, he's still around, Mike. Iron Mike.
And Jimmy Starr's still around, but just he didn't have any luck.
Yeah, I mean,
back on the inside.
I'm guilty of sort of being with it. I don't know where it would have run, to be honest with you. Another Will might have been too good again, who knows, but would have liked to have found out.
Yeah.
But Damien Lane didn't do anything wrong, just a victim.
Victim of, and that was the danger with Gate 1, probably, and it just got exacerbated with the way the wind was, and they sort of just cramped him in.
I feel a lot of that can sometimes be overplayed because and then I'm made to look foolish afterwards, of course, when he gets badly held up. But usually in a high pressure race like that, you can find a little bit of
gaps. And we talked about that on the Jules and JoJo show. We thought actually gaps would develop and he'd be able to pick his way through. Damien, but he just couldn't, could he? No. It was just never going to work out. So, look, he was a drifter. I think the drift was probably based on the fact that he'd drawn one, and I think the market was suggesting gates, lanes 1 and 2 were probably inferior ground, so there's a bit in that as well. It's not from an ability point of view that he drifted. I think that's the key. I don't think they were saying, no, he's no good, we're spitting him out. He's still going to be.
It was advantage for another Will. Drawn 6 was probably going to get the run that eventuated for him. The winner, I'm a bit dirty on myself for overlooking.
Thought about it?
Looked at it, and he's got that. She's got that body of work of not bad sort of figures, but she can just run a place, and she'd been Group 1 placed, I think, in weight for age several times with a very competitive weight. So no, I overlooked her too easily, but she deserved that win. She was good.
Yes,
she was very good, and another Will's going to win the Group 1 shortly.
Yeah, and most of them all go to the paddock. So that was the day on 1,000 Guineas and Rupert Clarke Stakes Day. Thanks, Hutch. That was fun.
It was fun. It was more fun than the Tyson fight.
Yeah, that was poor, but he's got 20 million, I think, for it, and the other bloke gets 40. So are we the mugs?
Yes.
Yeah. See you guys. Thanks for watching, punters. Please like and subscribe.
Imagine what you could be buying instead.
For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.